thank you. Yeah, thank you for the question. Well, I was an event designer prior to starting the software. So I did that for 15 years in Central Florida. I worked with countless brides and families, corporate clients, just to bring together a beautiful event. And it really, I learned so much during that time. And previous to that, I worked for an import company out of Miami selling boxes of flowers. So I kind of seen all sides of the industry, but it was always so taxing on my mental health and just like meeting with clients and able to give them a response back about their event in like a timely manner. But as you know, how many varieties of flowers there are, how many sources they come from, it was like all this information was constantly flowing in and out of my head. And it wasn't something like that lived anywhere where I could use that data. So it really sat with me for a long time that there needed to be a solution to help other people in the same space as me that were struggling. And so I just kept refining what my process was. And, about 10 years ago, set out to develop a software. It was actually closer to 14 because it took me a few years to do it. But yeah, we now have a piece of beautiful software that helps over 800 event companies throughout the United States. We're in 18 countries. So it's been really beautiful to like find that the pain points that I recognized were valid and true, and to see like so many people that are utilizing the software now. And I would say, just being an entrepreneur in the space was a bit intimidating, because when you start attending like large industry events, especially more on the import side, at least like 8-10 years ago, I found that it was very few women that were operating in these like spaces, or even in the tech space. When I would go to pitch my business, I would often be the only contestant of sorts in these different pitch competitions that was a female. So it was a lot of pressure. I felt like I had to be very put together. I was representing, a whole gender against like 20 men or something. And so it was like very, I don't know, I wouldn't say intimidating, maybe slightly, but I felt like I had to do a good job because I was representing a lot of people. I mean, that wasn't always intentional. There are a few men that kind of are behind the scenes, like the Wizard of Oz, I would say, is main developers or men, but the women are the ones that are out there on the front lines, like interacting with all the customers. And I feel like that, I don't know, I think initially I felt close to having people that spoke the same language as me, in a sense of like how I wanted customer service to interact with, or most of the people that I do think run floral businesses are heavily dominated by women. So it is nice to kind of understand their pain points. And it's also a way to like say, yeah, I understand, I've got 3 kids at home, I'm trying to run this business. And like to understand the plight of like women is definitely like, you need more women around you. But I guess when we put our applications out in my area, because we hire from Ormond Beach, most of the men, there are not a lot of men who apply to a flower related job. It is more women that are like, oh, I want to work for a flower company. Yeah, sounds great. So I think that has its definitely bonuses for women. And I mean, it's a beautiful industry that we work in. But once you get into the wholesale side and the farm side, you realize it's very male dominated too. So it's, I feel like the front lines, the florists, are more women, and then the other side is more men. So I'm trying to help meet in the middle and have us all playing. But we definitely love girls. We love their opinions. I feel like women are more strongly opinionated maybe than men sometimes too. So I feel like we have a lot of good dialogue about all the things all the time. I feel like we're a family here. People, like, we know a lot about everything that's going on in everybody's life. So we really focus highly on company culture and the different things that we do here to make it more of a team. when we travel, we try to incorporate travel adventures like with our team so that we explore together and search and are always looking for like fun, fresh new ways to introduce something. Um, Recently, as part of our strategy, we've been partnering with higher level education institutions like universities and different flower schools and so forth. And that we were doing that even before next gen came along, but now with this whole push for next gen, we realized that that is really aligned with our strategy and our goal to like make sure that the next generation feels empowered and knows where they can go for certain tools, or that they'll know how to start a business immediately just by like different things they've learned. So I feel like it's really creating and fostering a supportive community in those regards. And I'm excited, like when I talk to different high schools that are implementing details in their classroom, and you realize how many different ways we have to expose people to florals and the flower industry. It's really huge, and it's a challenge I welcome, and I think that we can do a good job to keep this industry strong. I feel like we definitely have a competitive edge. I feel like our customer service definitely shines. You know, when I call up a company, maybe I have a problem with my phone or something. I hate being on hold and not being able to talk to a person that really understands my issues. So we've made that as priority number one, is to be accessible. I really feel like having been as an event designer and done so many events in my history, I have understood the pain points of like what the general problem is from really both sides of not only preparing those orders, but then um, the procurement of the products. Like if you're working with 50 different flowers, they might come from 50 different countries, right? And that's such humongous work. So I think that all the features that we have been creating and working on sing to both of those areas. I also feel like uh, being a woman in this business, I can see how juggling so many areas of like you're supposed to be a good mom and you're supposed to be a good wife and you're also supposed to be a good business owner, and we want to create tools that make their life easier and so that they can have more time to spend in these areas. So I feel like that's been a huge commitment that we've made, is like not we want our clients to work smarter, not harder. And I know that a lot of people use that, but it really is truth at the end of the day. And we're actually pulling together our numbers now just because of this question specifically. Is like I really want to know how many, like what the ratio is of men to woman business owners for our customer base. So that's something that we're going to be putting together, because I feel like it's really kind of important for us to know like what demographic are we really serving here, and do we check off all the boxes when it comes to those people. So um I don't know. I feel like just showing up is how we're setting ourselves apart from our competitors, because I feel like there's a lot of people who don't show up, and I don't know why that is. I don't know if there's like certain really giant companies, sometimes they don't come to these events, and you're like, why are they not attending? But it's like, is this going to be the place where people are going to find their is it going to be where they're getting all this feedback and feedback they don't want to hear? So I feel like we often face those critiques head on, and we address them as soon as we hear them, if there is anything that people aren't liking. And I think that that makes us better, just by like running
Mhm.
towards the fire and figuring
Totally.
out what that is, instead of just being like putting my tail between my legs and not wanting to hear. So I feel like that maybe is what sets us apart, or I'd like to think. And we're not the best at everything, but I feel like we're getting there, and we're listening. I would say that the best quality that you can have as an entrepreneur, man or woman, is to be prepared. Um, do your research, understand who you're talking to, and go into it with like a confident point of view, but also be really open to listening. I think I've done a lot of Bible studies in the past, and I always try to be like an Esther, Queen Esther, and she was always smart, she was sweet, she was strong and courageous, kind, beautiful, feminine, but she was also shrewd. And I feel like those are all the qualities that I try to like enter into any conversation or um a new opportunity with. And like I try to bring all those things. And you kind of have to remember, if I am the only woman in the space, that you've got to be all those things to
Yeah.
be taken a certain seriously or so forth. But I'm pretty direct, and that goes with being a leader. Is like I don't waste a lot of time on like what ifs or like the impossibilities. Like I kind of like just kind of stay focused on what I know is possible, and then work at those opportunities when they come. But I always say timing is everything. If it's not now, then it's going to be later. And to never try to close any doors, I would say. Like I know I've gotten told no a lot. When you're doing something new,
Yeah.
it's never easy to say no, but I know that eventually it will turn into a yes. So I'm very patient, and I think I just try to have boundaries, I guess. Know where your limitations are, or what you will accept and what you won't, and then um, be forthcoming and forthright with what you want. But if you have something that you're thinking about every day of your life, like I did with
Mm.
creating details, like there was a whole decade when I woke up in the morning, I thought about details, and when I went to bed, I thought about details. And I knew if I didn't pursue this, that there was a reason that God had basically given me this idea, and I could either live in the past and have regret, or live in the future and have regrets, or I could just work towards that goal. And that's really what I did. So I studied, and I just I don't know, work towards it every day, every day. So, and we're still doing it, but now I have 12 women on my team, and a couple guys here and there, and my husband and my
Mhm.
kids that are like now all a part of my team, and we're all like moving forward in a direction of like what my dream was. So I feel very fortunate. Yeah, so it's so exciting. I'm glad you asked this question. Is I just had a preview of one of our new features that we're going to be launching. And I love it because it's going to give our florists insights into the analytics of how traffic is visiting their page, or when they're looking at their invoice, or how long do people spend looking at your site before they send you that. Like it's giving you a lot of insight data on your customers. And so that is really, it's kind of sneaky kind of information that we're going to help our florists so they better understand like their leads, or people that are looking at them. We're also offering a tip component. So when our florists send out invoices, they can get paid through them, but we want them to now send out an invoice and have like a space, because in America it's really common to tip service providers, and I don't think a lot
Exactly.
of florists get tips or gratuity on the good work that
Mhm.
they do. So I'm hoping that when the father of the bride is paying that invoice, he will see that tipping component, and we can help increase our customers' bottom lines by like 15 to 25%. I mean, come on now. And teach us all to be generous tippers, right? And then I
Yeah.
just more connections. We are really looking to integrate with all the leading companies that are doing more work, and so that if we can give those companies insights into the buying behaviors of our customers to help them grow the right product at the right time, I feel like it will be a game changer for our customers to get time back, so that they don't have to spend a lot of time procuring those flowers, but also for the suppliers to know what is coming down the pipeline in say 9 to 12 months from now, so that we can be better prepared to meet the demands. And so I think that those connections will be really, I think, the future of the floral industry. And it's part of the reason why I set off on this journey almost 2 decades ago, because I saw an easier way of conducting business to help everybody along. So I don't know, we're just getting started to do what I kind of in my grander vision is, I guess, when I was starting details. But I am just excited because now we have an army of florists behind us that really are loving it and telling their friends now instead of not telling their friends. They never wanted to say what they were. It was their trade secret. So I feel like that was often a deterrent or kind of like a detractor to us early on, is just because people didn't want to share. But the more connections we make, I feel like they're also connecting. So it's been great. And yeah, I'm excited. I think the future of the flower industry is bright. So that's my insights.